in our proposal to the bidders is that they had to provide a 10-year O&M in their contract. And so that was one thing that was very important, because one of the things that we looked at from the outset was the difference between a municipal lease and a power purchase agreement. Okay. And when you think of a municipal lease, you're thinking of a way of, they're both of, okay, how do we provide a system to the town of Bethel at no money out of pocket that provides the most amount of savings for the town? And when you think about that, what we have to do is putting ourselves in the town's shoes. Okay. And basically, when we say putting ourselves in your shoes, is that we want to take into considerations as, what is the O&M, what product is being installed, who is doing the installation, what are their references, and what is going to provide the best results for sustainability and going into the future for the town of Bethel. So looking at a power purchase agreement, so everybody might understand, you'll hear me use the acronym PPA, Power Purchase Agreement. A power purchase agreement is when the town basically, versus saying, okay, we're going to go to Constellation, we're going to go to a Veridian, we're going to go to Direct Energy for a supply contract. A power purchase agreement is very similar to that. There's the main difference though. We can't go to Constellation, Direct, and all the third-party suppliers and say, give me a fixed contract for the next 20 years. Okay. So when you think of that, it provides a lot for a budgeting, right? For any town, any municipality, your number one thing is always managing costs. And one of the top line items of everybody's budget every year, and there's no way to get away from it, is electricity. And so what you're doing is you're creating security going into the future. So a power purchase agreement is a 20-year agreement. It would have a fixed rate, and that would, all it is basically, versus you buying your energy through a third-party supply contract, you're now getting the power from your roof at a discounted rate, and you create a savings between what you would be paying to the utility, and also you're getting a partial offset on your delivery and your transmission charges. Now, on a municipal lease factor, it goes from a 20-year, like a PPA is a 20-year. A municipal lease is typically 10 to 12 years. And on a municipal lease, you don't tend to see the savings in those first years. What you tend to see is basically a more break-even approach, and you're taking ownership of the assets at the end of the term. After end of the 10 years or end of the 12 years, you are now taking ownership of those systems. So now what happens during that time, you are now, after the 10 years that was included in the contracts, you would now be taking on the responsibility of doing re-upping your O&M agreement with the installer, and you would be taking on the cost of making sure the system is monitored, maintained, and operational. The other big factor is knowing that, how everybody came in price-wise. And one of the things that we went through is we analyzed what the panels were, what the inverters were, and what type of monitoring systems, DAS systems, they were using. So one of the things that we put together is the first document I'll share is the actual results from the companies. Give it a second so everybody's screen updates. All right, it looks like people are looking around, so it looks like the screen should have updated. So what you see in column A is the EPC firms, engineering, procurement, construction, contracting firms. We had Con Edison, Green Earth Energy PV, JD Solar, Davis Hill Development, and Ameresco. And then under each one of those firms, you see the 3 sites that we evaluated for the solar: Rockwell, Johnson, and the track and field building by the high school behind the police station. And in column B, what we do is we're looking at what each company provided as a system size in column B. And then in column C, we're looking at what the systems would produce. In column D, we're looking at what each company included or did not want to include for operation and maintenance, O&M. I'm sorry, sometimes I write shorthand and I don't catch it until I'm doing something like this. So O&M, operation, and maintenance. And then what their total cost was for a turnkey system. A turnkey system means that they have to do all the engineering, all the permitting, all the interconnection, install the system, and then meet all witness tests by the utility. A witness test needs to be conducted once the system is ready to be energized. So first we'll go through a town inspection. The building inspector and the electrical inspector will actually come out and inspect the work. Once the work is then inspected, the town inspector will submit a document to Eversource. Eversource then has 15 business days to react to that letter that they received from the community saying that the system has been inspected. They will come out and do what's called a witness test. That witness test is to verify that the system meets all the utility regulations, meaning that when they go ahead and do the witness test, they will have somebody on the phone that they'll confirm that they see the system come live, meaning comes online, and how everything is in balance or there's any frequencies. And they'll circuit through to make sure that the rapid shutdown works. So all these things are performed for this turnkey cost. The next column that you see is column F. Column F is how we get to do the full evaluation on what the submissions actually were, okay? So somebody's number might look a little bit less in the system size or in the total cost, but what we have to do at the end of the day is then break it down into a price per watt. Like if you were purchasing property or something, you might hear a price per square foot, or you're purchasing a large piece of property, price per acre. In this case, what we do in the solar industry is we break it down price per watt. So all that is taking the total cost and dividing it by the actual system size for each installation, for each EPC firm. And when we're looking at this, you'll see that you have Con Edison, for example, right? At Rockwell, they're proposing 120 kW 0.69. Green Earth Energy is proposing a 145. JD Solar is proposing a 172.5. Davis Hill is proposing a 171.7, and Ameresco proposed a 169.2. You'll see that the numbers are all pretty similar amongst these three, and then similar amongst these two. And what it is that what we're looking at is there might have been a panel size difference. One company could be using a 390 watt panel and another company could be using a 445 watt panel. These are all things that we take into consideration when we're doing the evaluation, and companies that are using higher wattage panels will typically have just a little bit larger of a system. Also, we have to look at the spacing that is provided around equipment. But one of the things that you'll notice when we do this is what we're looking at when it comes down to the end is 120 kW system, okay, their price per watt is a $2.36. Okay, 145 kW system is $2.20. Why I'm going through it this way is to basically show you this is how we have to compare apples to apples, okay? A lot of people would just think, well, we're just going to go look at the total cost. But in actuality, what ends up happening is you're actually looking at the systems that are being provided. So when you get down to the total system size for Con Edison, they're providing a 548 kW system, 548.775 kW system, producing 693,700 kilowatt hours at a total price of $1,264,278. Okay. Green Earth Energy, PV, 561.6 kW, production 720,060 kilowatt hours at $1,235,520. JD Solar is proposing a 598 kW system, production 687,500 at a turnkey price of $1,229,005. Davis Hill Development is proposing 561 kW, producing 727,000 kilowatt hours at $1,182,729. Ameresco is providing a total system size of 579 kW, producing 703,569 kW, and at a price tag of $1,483,296.
Adam,
Now,
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Sunny.
Yeah, hi, this is Sunny.
Yeah.
So are these all firm prices they have provided, or is there any expected variability around these numbers?
No, this is a turnkey price, no variability, and it's what we would consider a design build.
Okay.
So, and maybe I should also provide the information that working through this with the architect firms and the engineering firms such as Rizzo Construction and STV Architects and their engineers, all the companies were provided detailed engineering drawings, meaning that they were able to see where all the new HVAC equipment was. They were able to see all the structural. So they have had all the information to be able to provide a firm quote. So that's a very good question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what most people's eyes would be drawn to is to look at just the price tag of 1.18, excuse me, 2, and then not look at the system sizes that are being provided. So the largest system that is being provided amongst the 5 bidders was this system here at 598 kW at $1,229,005. Now the next question comes is but they're providing the lowest production. Okay, so if you look at, here's the smallest system providing 693,700 and the largest system providing 687,500. There's a difference in the industry on when it comes down to performance guarantee. Some developers and installers will tend to use models and not tweak the variables in the outputs, meaning that when we look at solar on Rockwell and Johnson are flat, okay? They're flat roofs, but the panels will be pitched on a 10-degree pitch, okay? Where on the track and field, it's a pitched roof, and you have about a 22-degree angle pitch on the roof. What happens is when you have a pitched roof, there's no spacing in between the panels, and the panels, as you'll see in the pictures that I'll show in a minute, are literally tight. But one of the things that you'll notice is that companies, when they were on a flat roof, don't necessarily tweak the production modulars in order to adjust for production. So these are the types of things that we get nitpicky on. We'd rather be conservative in the sense of making sure that we have a system that's going to produce what it says it could produce, than promise a smaller system and that says it could produce another number that it might never achieve. Okay, so those are the types of things that we try to look at and pick up on for the community. let me take some questions because I've been talking a lot. So any questions?
I
So
think
Sunny again. Yeah, could you explain what the column O&M, like how that works again, if you don't mind? Yeah.
No, it's great. So O&M, operation and maintenance. So a solar panel has nothing that's moving inside of the panel, but your inverter has little gears in it that basically are moving in order to spin and create the electricity. And so what it is your O&M is what we look at as a semi-annual site visit, meaning that they come out, do wire maintenance, make sure nothing's been moved, make sure there's no loose connections, basically an on-site visit. They walk everything, okay? But then also O&M is when, say there's a panel that goes bad or an inverter that goes bad. They're responsible for the first 10 years at no cost to come out and to replace it.
And
Also,
that's baked into the total cost?
That's also included for the first 10 years into this cost.
Total cost, got it.
It is also important to know that there will be monitoring. So the O&M also has to deal with that. The town of Bethel is not responsible for monitoring these systems on a daily basis to make sure that, you know, something is going awry or something is not working properly. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So I don't see any other questions. What I'll do for a second here is I'll show some pictures to kind of share what it looks like as far as the proposed designs. So this here is Rockwell School. As you can see, this has been modeled out to show everything in place with the new spacing for the units up on the roof, where the proposed panels are being placed. So that's Rockwell. This here is Johnson. We were advised to stay off of this nice main roof here where we had they did the nice facade to hide the units. And also it wouldn't really make too much sense to be over here when our point of interconnection is over here. So you'll see a majority of the panels are here and here, and then here and here over the gym, and then it comes off and goes down to the connection. And then this here is the track and field building. And one of the things why you saw the numbers that in production so well and what I was trying to achieve from a flat roof versus a pitched roof is that when you're pitched and you're facing 100% or almost 100% 180 due south, you're going to gain the most amount of production off of this roof. Okay. Unlike here, where south is perfect this way, straight down, you can see that the panels are facing more of a southeast position versus 100% south. And then Rockwell actually has very decent orientation as well. This is about 195 degrees, pretty close to south as well. So then what we did is we worked through a larger Excel sheet. This Excel sheet is where we start to get into the numbers for each site. So what you'll see here is column A is our years, column B and C, okay?
We don't see, we're seeing a picture of Rockwell. Oh, there you are.
See?
Yeah,
Sometimes
no,
I don't give it long, and first one popped right up, the pictures popped right up, and then so I thought this one happened right away. Thanks, Bill. Sometimes Zoom does that to me. So B and C are the track and field, okay? D and E are going to be Rockwell. F and G are going to be Johnson. And what we're looking at here is the actual productivity, which we would say is savings and also revenue. So under the municipal lease model, the town of Bethel is able to collect the revenue streams, okay, from the systems. So in this case here, what you're seeing is that the track and field building is going to have an annual solar value. What the solar value is the avoided cost paid to the utility. So at the track and field, we would avoid $30,417. At Rockwell, we would avoid paying to the utility $22,770. And at Johnson, we would avoid paying $25,875. That is the value of producing solar behind the meter, okay? And then what happens is that there's a 15-year program that the utility offers. And this is another difference between a municipal lease and a power purchase agreement. Under a power purchase agreement, the investor or the financier is going to utilize the investment tax credit, the depreciation, and they're going to get you guys would pay them for the power that is produced, and they're also going to get the ZRECs, zero emission renewable energy contracts. So that's the revenue, okay? And in lieu of that, they're paying for the system, and you are going to get a benefit of savings on your power at a fixed price for the 20 years. Under the municipal lease, this columns B through G are what your savings and your revenue would be. Column H is your operation and maintenance. And what we did is we have two municipal lease companies, and they both provided quotes for based upon the lowest bidder on the last thing, which was the 598 kW system, which was JD Solar, at the $2.07, $2.06, and $2.04 per watt at $1,229,005. That's what these numbers are based off of. So on this case, option A, the municipal lease company, offered a 10-year program with a final payment in year 11, where there is basically no savings years 1 through 10. It's a break-even model. And over the 20 years, the life of the system, as you can see, it's a back-end weighted model, meaning that you start to pick up significant savings in year 11 through 20, saving $1,269,340. Option B was another municipal lease company. They provided a 12-year model. Though you'll notice one difference between option A and option B. Option B uses an escalation in their lease payment, where option B provided a fixed lease payment and carried it out over the 12 years. Option B was able to get to a point by keeping it at a fixed rate and bringing it out over 12 years. Yes, you picked up more interest in payment, but you get savings in year 2 of basically $850. And then you had savings over the life of the system of $1,152,870. Okay, so this is the lease structures. This is what we consider a municipal lease. Bethel has very good credit rating. So these were two offerings that were provided. On the next case scenario here is where we look at what it would look like for a power purchase agreement. So what it would look like in our power purchase agreement is in column M, okay, solar offset generated kWh. So for producing 1 kilowatt hour behind the meter, okay, you offset 11.5 cents in kilowatt hours, okay? So that's where, when we look over here at solar value behind the meter of $30,417, that's if you were doing the municipal lease, you're taking all that benefit in because you're taking on the lump sum payments. Under a power purchase agreement, the financier is taking all the risk. Okay, they're bearing the risk of 20 years of operation and maintenance. They're also responsible for making sure the system is turnkey. Also, under a power purchase agreement, if the system does not produce power, then they're not making a return on their investment. So it's in the financier's best interest to make sure that this system operates to its best capacity. Okay. The next thing that you'll see is that, so the solar offset behind the meter is 11.5 cents. The system generates 246,870 kilowatt hours. This is Johnson School, where we have a PPA rate of 7.4 cents. As you'll notice, this PPA rate is fixed for 20 years at 7.4 cents. When you then look at, when you then go ahead and look at the generation for Rockwell, it's 219,776,000 at a fixed rate of 7.6 cents. And then for the track and field, you see 260,000 kilowatt hours produced. And again, you got a better rate here because you have a better azimuth. You're getting better production out of the panels. Okay, so you had a fixed rate of 6.6 cents. So what that means is at Johnson School, year one, you have savings of $10,121. At Rockwell, year one, you have savings of $8,571.26. And at the track and field building, you'd have $12,740. Why it was important to do this is to basically demonstrate that a power purchase agreement and a municipal lease, when it comes down to the bottom line in savings, and I'm trying to get the screen to match up so you guys could see both columns here, is that you're at 1.1 million in savings, and over here 1.152 and 1.269. So when you look at this overall, what you're looking at is the difference between a power purchase agreement and a lease. And when we're putting these packages together and we're working with the community, it's important to understand here where you have no savings and you're coming out to 1.2, yeah, it looks like you're getting $100,000 more in savings. Or here, 1.152, where to the community, you're getting a significant amount of savings in year one. So if you were to look at this and take the savings of Johnson School plus the savings at Rockwell School plus the savings at the track and field, that's a lot of money to a municipality's budget in 1 year. So I'll open it up for questions because once again, I've been talking a lot and I like this to kind of be a little interactive and kind of know what people are thinking and if you have any questions.
I think one point too that could be mentioned would be the time value of money. The savings, the earlier savings on a dollar for dollar basis are more valuable than the later savings.
Yeah, the net present value, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Good point. Questions, comments?
In terms of the requirements for the project was intended to meet for the 3 schools, there was obviously the different output for the different systems. Do all of those meet minimum requirements, or is there an advantage to going with something that has more output versus less given the different price points?
Oh, great question. So what we always look at under a power purchase agreement or a municipal lease for a municipality is you don't gain by producing more than what you consume. The utility does not like to pay you money back. So basically what we have done is sized each system to the actual consumption behind the meter. And that's what all the bidders were required to do.
Thank you.
Okay. So what our recommendation, not seeing any questions or comments at the moment, and I just want to kind of put this in there, is what our recommendation is at the moment is to allow the additional bidders that did not provide a PPA rate with their bids to go ahead and do so. So what we have done is we've asked the 3 additional companies that did not provide a PPA rate with their bid to go ahead and do that. We gave them until Wednesday evening to get us those numbers. And what we would do is then complete filling this Excel sheet out, and we would send it to Mr. Craddy and Kathy, I believe, are the 2 point people to send this to. And they would share it with everybody because we don't have everybody's email address. And then to reconvene next Thursday evening to select what would be the best one to put forth to the town of Bethel. The reason that we would need to take action and to move on this, as Mr. Craddy has touched on already, is the factor of the investment tax credit. If we do plan to proceed forward with the power purchase agreement, the ITC decreases from 26% to 22%, which would have an upward tick in your power purchase agreement rate. Okay, so the 7.4 cents or 7.6 cents or the 6.6 cents that you see now as very low rates could increase as the investors would lose out on additional 4%. Now the question would then become is, well, you're going to get these all systems built by the end of the year? And the answer to that is no. But what it is that the IRS allows us to do what's called a safe harbor of tax credits. We have to spend we have to spend at least 5% of the system cost in order to preserve the ITC, and then have the systems turned on and completed within 1 following year. Meaning that we would plan to have all these systems online and operating probably by summertime of next year. I don't see us going past June on construction. For school as a concern, we have experience installing systems. All these bidders that provided bids have installed on schools, which is another important factor. And they've all done it while school's in operation. So unlike heavy construction, this really isn't a distraction. All the stuff is, there's certain safety procedures that are put in place, which Bob, I'm going to butcher his last name, Germanaro, thank you, was present during our site visits, and he questioned everybody about loading, safety, check-ins, you name it. And everybody's answers were the same. You know, it's basically the trucks show up, we load directly to the roof. There's no material stored on the ground. And so what that means from a safety standpoint is there's not things that the kids could get into. So basically a flatbed is going to show up, crane it to the roof, that gets stationed in different sections of the roof, and they go to work. There's no heavy tools that are used on the roof. Basically what the guys will be using are battery handheld drills. So it's not like they're using some big heavy duty power tools on the roof. So it's going to be a little bit of walking around and putting things together. No more than if there was a HVAC gentleman up on the roof, gentleman or gal up on the roof doing equipment repairs. Just want you guys to be any type of knowledge I could give everybody, and just trying to provide it. So stop me if I'm talking too much, or you guys have any other questions or comments.
No, I think you provided very good information, and when we get the other numbers, we can look at it and we'll have a good enough background, I think, to be able to make a solid recommendation at the next meeting next Thursday.
Yeah, I think, Adam, yeah, just to add to what Bill said, I mean, the time value of money or the NPV numbers also calculated in the spreadsheets, I think would be very helpful. So it's apples to apples really then.
Yeah.
Comparison.
And that's really what we're trying to show here, Sonny, is just the ability of, you know, there's no savings. It's
Yeah,
literally
I mean, it's zero.
created, yeah, I mean,
yeah, but the rest of it, yeah. So.
yeah, and you know, even on the option B, it's not. I mean, this is for all three schools. So I mean, you can see the calculation up top here. This is going across every line item to, you know, so there's no, you know, $856 versus, you know, $30,000. You know, I think that's a huge significant to the town and to the Board of Ed and to the school.
But also under the PPA, the annual savings, you know, being 8,000, you know, it's $571 is more valuable. This is what Sonny's getting at today than probably, you know, $15,000, $20,000 in year 10 or 12. So, you know, to the town's benefit.
Yeah, it's a and right to that point, it's literally when you bring it all the way down over the 20 years, it comes out to basically a neck and neck tie, and you had less risk. Meaning that, you know, when you're in a municipal lease, you're paying a fixed lease payment, whether that system is operating or the system is down. You're paying a fixed lease payment. Under a power purchase agreement, if that system is not providing power, it's not producing power, when they bill you, it will show that, you know, that your electric bill from the utility company is going to be a little bit higher and their bill is going to be a little bit lower. And that's going to drive them to take action to figure out what's wrong with the system and why is it not working? Why is it not producing the power that it should be providing? So, you know, you're able to hold their feet to the fire from an installation standpoint on a power purchase agreement right from day one. Okay. And you have no risk on that operation and maintenance over the 20 years.
Yeah, I think we can add an NPV value, you know, to compare 20 years stream, what the total real value of that total stream versus, you know, the lease purchase. And that's where I'm saying that you will see a bigger difference when you do that between the PPA and the lease because of the earlier savings of the PPA.
Yep, agree.
Bill or Adam, I'm not sure who would know this, but the lease option there, that the money that would come out every year, is that included in the cost of the schools? Is that already built into a budget somewhere, or would that need to be approved separately by the town at that number?
No, we have to, we'll make the recommendation of which system, you know, and then probably have to go to, you know, a town meeting venue, whatever, to award. And what we're talking about is, you know, no increase in budget payments, you know, and that's the key point, is that worst case would be a break even and you'll get the green energy. It's what we're looking to do, is have better than a break even and get the clean energy. But there's no, you know, no referendum that would be required.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So nobody has any other questions other than wait for you did such a good job there, Adam, to wait.
No, it's just like once you get into a role and try to explain it, I just try to throw all the details in as I'm going through it that you're trying to look at as you're looking at the numbers, you know. Kind of been doing this a little while.
Yeah.
No, that was great. Very informative. Thanks, Adam.
You're welcome.
But if not, if that's the case, we can move on from here, and Adam will send us the spreadsheet with additional information, and then we can take a look at that, and then you folks will be back for the next meeting on the Thursday, and we can make the presentation. And what I'm thinking is that we'll invite the purchasing committee to attend the meeting also, so that would shortcut that. Again, time is of essence to protect the ITC, because that makes a difference in the savings value. If we miss that deadline, then we will have a less financial attractive package.
Yeah.
So if I hear other questions, I thank you guys very much.
No problem.
And,
Thank you.
Thank you all.
yeah. And Peter, are you ready to talk about your EV? And if
Sure. I mean, there's not much to talk about. Never heard back or made contact with the first selectman's office. So hasn't really gone anywhere.
okay, you haven't been able to get,
No, I sent 2 emails, and I think the last time I sent one, I even sent a note to Kathy. But yeah, just haven't heard back. I mean, electric vehicles are still going in my world, but
well, I know Matt's had, a lot of.
yeah,
going
no
on,
doubt.
kind of a thing, but I will get on top of him, because I did meet with Matt a couple of weeks ago, and he expressed a real high degree of interest.
Yeah, just I can
That's good to
go
get.
downtown. We can do it, virtually, whatever he wants.
Okay.
What kind of options are you looking at, if you don't mind me asking, Peter?
As far, we're starting off with a fleet study to, right size the fleet and understand if electrification is going to make sense in, the first place. It all started as the first selectman looking to convert some of the administrative vehicles to electric. And then that opens the rabbit hole of where are they going to charge, and what happens when 4 buses decide they want to charge together. It led to to this conversation I'll have with the first selectman about, it's a chicken and the egg thing. But whether you've got electric vehicles in town or not, people are going to come into the town and they are going to want chargers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So our infrastructure has to be likely beefed up a little bit. But, there's no reason you can't start with hybrids, to get the police accustomed to not wasting fuel when they're babysitting a construction site. A few light duty electrics. I did a presentation a few months ago. It's a couple of $1,000s a year per vehicle, light duty vehicle in savings. And if we put in solar chargers like I've been working with out west, makes it even easier.
Yeah. Nice.
one of the things that Matt is interested in is a downtown municipal small shuttle
Right.
to shuttle people around
Yep.
as they're developing downtown. They're expanding, and the idea is to make it more people, living downtown and take advantage of things, and to be able to shuttle
Yep.
people around. We don't have real good parking to handle everybody, so there's conversation about parking lot someplace. So the parking garage would be shuttle people from the parking garage to the stores, and that
Or,
kind of thing.
I mean, I had proposed initially taking it from the train station where they're trying to create a corridor to downtown and just doing a loop around, cross with the, transit buses. And, I think my alarm's about to go off. My wife forgot it's on. Hold on. Okay, she got it.
But yeah, a shuttle bus from
Hold
the
on.
train station to the microbrewery would be of interest.
Now there's a lot of things that are going on right now with fleets that we've started to look at for some of the
Okay, well,
some corporations that run lab testing, for example. Not to go into conversation on who they are, but that are running vehicles and some light duty trucks. Light duty trucks haven't necessarily gotten into the marketplace yet. So we're looking at more or less on the vehicle side. We've done some work with Blue Bus or Bluebird on some of their electrical vehicle buses too. So just it's good to see municipalities are actually starting to look at some of those things.
Kind of interesting, because today I got a notice from my company that if anybody in the company purchases an electric vehicle, they'll get a $500 gift certificate, payment of $500 for moving to sustainability. So the companies are beginning to say, hey, we will give you an incentive to, when you're buying a car, here's $500.
And do you guys have a large Department of Public Works area that you would have the ability to set something up from a fleet standpoint for municipal vehicles or anything like that for charging?
Well, we do with the landfill. We have a town garage down to the landfill, and that's where we do have the landfill solar, the 1 megawatt landfill solar. So there is, an opportunity there.
That's already interconnected though, right?
Yeah.
Into one of the that went under virtual net metering, Bill?
Yeah. We're net metering to 5 different town buildings. One of them, which we're going to have to change, because one of them that we're net metering to is Rockwell School. So we have an option to annually to switch that one out. So we're going to be doing that, switch the net metering to another facility when we go forward with the solar here. So that makes a difference.
So under that, you could actually say that you're doing some charging depending on where you're sending that power to, right? And just plug the chargers into certain buildings that you already are taking credits at.
Well, yeah, the nice thing would be to have a charging station at the police station, which is right there next to the schools. And that would be a key thing. And we're working forward ultimately to get a microgrid down there. All that would be tied together on a microgrid, and we'd have chargers at each of the schools and the police station, and
yeah, because the big thing that is it comes down to demand charges.
Yeah.
And that's where you got to look at batteries or fuel cell to offset that kW.
So I've got a pretty good idea that the post office is going to be buying 50,000 electric vehicles starting next year. They'll announce it hopefully in the next 6 months. But 10 vehicles in the Bethel post office charging, and the post office has indicated fast charging is desired.
Yeah.
We're going to have a strain that on, the local grid that we have no say in. And it's going to, so one of the things I can share with you is post office has gone out and put out a bid to replace all of these vehicles, the NGD, the LLVs, and around the country, there are post offices that can't even handle 220. They're out in the middle of nowhere. So they're requesting vehicles that'll charge from level 1 up to a fast charge of 7.5 kilowatts, just to start up to 50. So that could drive a small town haywire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the post office is doing it like this: vehicles on one bid and infrastructure, and none the two shall meet.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's an issue. Those are issues that my company's wrestling with.
Yep.
And
Coast California.
yeah.
Well, we know that the majority of vehicles electrics will be dispersed on both coasts, and a sprinkling across the country.
Well, you notice about the incentives being shown on television for the post department to go electric vehicle. They've been showing pictures of the current postal vehicles catching fire.
They're 36 years old.
Yeah, and they're catching fire, and the fire starts right in front of the driver.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
incentive there.
Oh.
Anyway, is there anything else that we need to cover under the special meeting? We're limited to these two, but
Nope.
Okay. If we have nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Motion to adjourn?
Who second it?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, aye. And
Aye.
thank you. And we will see you all next Thursday.
All right.
And please show up, because we've got to make this time, okay?
Okay. All right.
Thank you
Bye.
all. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night now. Bye-bye.